This is passage 2. It's a data passage. For our DRC approach, data means don't read. We're just going to quickly glance at the charts and the graphs and then move on to the questions. Just looking around quickly, it's kind of like where's Waldo, see what the quick variables are. Here's a beach, here's some boats. It's warm because they're wearing bathing suits. Our approach, read the question and then do a reread and break it down. We're going to quickly glance at the passage together. We're looking at pythons, a species of snake, and it looks like we're dealing with metabolism. Figure 1 shows a group of pythons and average mass just before and after ingesting a meal. Figure 2 shows oxygen consumption, so mass, meal, how many days, meals, average oxygen consumption, and it looks like each python ingested a meal that had a mass equal to. So these are different groups that are eating, I guess, different size meals. And that's it. Go to the questions. Number 8. For group 5, okay, now which one's group 5? This one's a bit tricky. It tells you in the reading that figure 1 shows group 5. So we're looking at figure 1. Doesn't say group 5 anywhere in the figure, so you have to know that from the reading. On which of the following days was the average mass of the small intestine, so we're using that axis, approximately twice as great as it was on day 0. So day 0, the mass is 16, twice that is 32. We go up to 32, and that is going to be on day 5. Luckily, day 4 was not a choice, right? Because day 4, you might have accidentally chosen this little dot right here, but day 5. G. Number 9, according to figure 1, before the group 5 pythons ingested a meal, so they ingested a meal right there, the little dot, so before that time, the average mass of their small intestines was approximately, so it was around 16, right? Maybe a little bit more, 16 to 17, so around 16. So A. Number 10, based on figures 1 and 2, when group Y, so there's group Y, had an average oxygen consumption of 0.05. So 0.05 is down towards the bottom. Don't accidentally confuse it with 0.5. The average mass of the small intestines for group Y, small intestine for group Y, and it says, assume that group V and group Y have approximately the same mass on day 0. So that means on day 0, or when it is at 0.05 right here, that's going to be around 16 as well. So our answer is G. Number 11, a juvenile python in one of the groups listed in table 1 had a body mass of 1,000 and ingested a meal of 50. So 1,000 grams ingested a meal of 50 grams. Which group was this python likely in? So if the python had ingested a meal that was 1,000 grams, that would be 100% of the body weight. So we know it's not W. So 50 is what percent of 1,000? It's 5% of 1,000. So your answer is Z, choice D. Number 12, based on figure 2, the average metabolic rate for the group W pythons was most likely greatest approximately how many days after they ingested their meal? So they ingested their meal on day 3, right? And we see the average oxygen consumption is highest on day 5, which means they're burning more energy. A little bit of knowledge there. So that's 2 days after they ingested the meal, so choice F. Number 13, it's the suppose if Y questions. We have to think a little bit. Those questions ask you to extrapolate information to make some assumptions. So we're using table 1 and figure 2, looking at the average oxygen consumption rate for the group 5 pythons. And the group 5 pythons are not in figure 2, but we're looking at 1 day after they ingested their meals. We're going to 1 day after, and again, we're looking for oxygen consumption rate. So how do we decide where to put group 5 pythons? Because this is a pretty wide range here, right? We have at least 2 answers that would work within this range. So it says in the reading that group 5 pythons had a mass 25% of their body mass. So they ingested a meal 25% of the body mass. So we get table 1, that means they're going to be between group Y and Z. So group Y and Z is this dashed and dotted line. It's going to be right there. So the group 5 pythons average oxygen consumption rate would be between 0.2 and 0.6 B. It's a little bit of a tricky question. Don't get too caught up on it on the test day. So here are our reporting categories again, so you can look at the questions you missed and see if there's a particular skill or a type of question that you want to focus on. So you can see the question numbers and the reporting category that it goes with for this passage. Reach out if you have any questions. And since this passage was about snakes, we'll end with a silly joke about snakes. Why do snakes always measure in inches? Because they don't have feet. Have a good day.